I'm here tonight, Friday night, January 23rd, 2026, and I'm here with my very good friend Lilly. And I don't pre-plan what we talk about, but it always moves in the direction of consciousness and then enlightenment subjects, and it's the same for tonight. A few minutes ago, I had a partial awakening. And I woke up to being at home in a state of free flow, of, presence. Being here present is a consciousness that's way more than the body. Now, that's not normal for me, but it happens, quite often. It just doesn't last very long. And when I'm in my normal foundational state of consciousness, the one that kind of defines me to everyone else, I know that my sessions are amazing for me. But I don't know that I've lost the awareness and presence of 99% of it. If you could divide things up. The bottom line is night and day. And so my day is a day of darkness, of damnation. Even though, for the most part, I kind of enjoy it all. I don't truly know myself when I'm doing it. I'm playing out, a role that isn't a role that I want to play anymore because it's a pretense. It's not real. It's not accurate in describing actually the whole me, the whole truth of me. And when I open up to having that as an experience, and I feel what it's like to be home again, I'm a little bit appalled that I can't seem to maintain that, in how I'm living life and how I'm experiencing that. And I'm not quite sure what the solution for it is, because I spend the vast majority of my time lost without knowing I'm lost. Kind of damned without knowing I'm damned, because I'm not experiencing actually what's real and true about me. Everything's a contextual truth about life and death and humanity and human consciousness. You can't experience the truth of yourself if that's what defines you, all of that, and not that which came before that, and not that which will forever outlast that. So what we're experiencing right now in this moment is a glitch. A moment of unconsciousness, an unawareness, and misidentification. We're in a fabricated reality that we think is the truth of us. And from there, we can't enjoy being here. And if we're here to enjoy being here. And so that's the purpose of this call. And that's what we're taking as good a look as we can at. And that is, divine realization is real. And it happens literally to everybody. But nobody knows it because it happens. And if it's not happening right now in this moment, then it doesn't exist for you. It's not real. You know there's something magnificent, but the truth of you is so much beyond anything that a human mind can conceive that you can't get there from your human mind. Because your human mind doesn't know. Doesn't know how to know. And isn't capable of figuring it out on its own, because that foundation of defining you isn't true. It's not real. It's another fabrication. If you want to be free as the body, as the consciousness of the body, then the truth of eternity, the truth of whatever it is that you are in the experience of your infinite self, of your eternal awareness, that experience of you, that's the purpose of your existence, is to open up to experience that and then live as that, as the authentic you. That wise and eternal, loving, universal consciousness. Now, those are just words, but if you can experience those words in such a way that you receive it as an invitation to open up and experience the infinite self that you are. So open up and experience the infinite self that you are. I'm opening up to experience you as that, so be conscious and let's meet there. Each at a level of presence that demonstrates your mastery. You're here to move in your mastery, nothing less. That's what everyone's here for. Now, are there some that are doing it? Well, none that I come to mind, but it could be everyone else but me. But my experience of this world is one where I'm pretty happy in regards to me in comparison of so many troubled, conflicted, combative consciousnesses, that are they've become zombies. There's no individual presence. It's a hive mind of a crazy person. But that's okay. It's okay for all of that. Doesn't matter. It's not something for you to be against. It's something for you to notice how other individuated consciousnesses have defined their reality of what's right and wrong, what's good and evil, and what their purpose is in regards to someone like you. So your job is to open up and experience reality accurately so that when somebody's looking at you with ill intent, it's like a force field that, pushes you away from them into in another direction. You're not supposed to be hanging around your enemies. You're supposed to love them, but you're not supposed to fight them or let them attack you. So relax about all of that. It's not for us to do anything except remember That's your only job, is remember. The awakening is, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's I remember now. It's just like this. And then as that wholeness that you feel, you begin to experience, the different ways your body holds information. And notice how in so many ways you hold that information in a way that's painful to the body, that's unhealthy for the body. So that's just an operating system that needs to be upgraded to the one of grace. And that is the foundational energy of yourself anyway. So it's not something you strive for, because it's already there. It's already you. What happened is you put your attention into a reality, and that reality became the only thing that was real to you. And in that reality, having defined itself and all the participants, like a game creator, you come in as one of the participants and forget that you just downloaded yourself into a game, and that the majority of your awareness and presence is elsewhere. The game's within you, but you haven't become it, and it hasn't become you. There's just an interaction going on. At the same time, you're interacting with infinite other people at the same time. Not one of them sucks you into a reality that destroys all other realities that are real and true in terms of your experience of them. So it's for you to choose to remain authentically you, regardless of how somebody else feels about it. Whatever it is that they say about it, If they challenge you on something and you can't gracefully exit, then the challenge is to respond to them in such a way that they're touched. How is it that somebody with bad intent towards most of the rest of reality, except for his team, how do you interact with something like that? Not lose consciousness yourself. Well, you allow that wisdom and grace and compassion and good humor, humorous. Make them laugh. Tell them something clever and observably funny that you made up in such a way that they knew that you just created that lighthearted event for their benefit without pre-planning it. You just moved in a flow of, good, humorous, inspiring cheer. And that would really be a very nice church to go to, because we don't need to be told what's bad. We inherently know that. We don't need to be told what's good either. What we need is the person that's communicating to us to be present, to be grounded enough to experience their wholeness. The fullness of the beauty of their eternal and universal presence, shining through a body, That's what you observe in the people that attack you. You go, ah, well, that's interesting. Here they are, right at the doorway of full divine realization, and I'm their last attack victim? Okay. They'll soon, they're coming so close to fully surrendering, fully letting go of the importance of words and actions, trumping consciousness. That somehow words are more important than reality. More important than life itself. So again, that awakening, that whatever it is that inspires you to have a transcendent experience of yourself, where you have a momentary awakening and you have that cathartic relief of, oh, wow, I'm home. I just woke up again. Wow. Wow, that was so dark, so painful. Wow. Wow, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be home. It's nice to be me again. And you relax into that. It's nice to be me again. The free me. The graceful me. The loving me. It's nice to be me. Moving as wisdom, moving as grace, moving as compassion. Moving as a love for all life. So feel how your body changes when you recognize the truth of everything I just said. You're it. You're divine. And you've woken up right now. And it's okay that you did. And it's okay that you allow your realization, your remembering of the truth of you. It's okay that you relax into that. And let that awakening be the remembrance that it's now time for you to live awakened. Not just be inspired occasionally, and being inspiring to others occasionally. It's time to actually be real now, without having to pretend anything, without having to have a goal about something. If you're present, if you're here with your wholeness, with your presence in what authentically it is that you are universally and eternally. What is there about you that can be experienced universally and eternally? What is it about you that can be found anywhere and everywhere, including the past and the future, and especially the present? Because that's not theoretical in terms of you're looking at it. It's, okay, what does this presence feel like? What does it feel like to feel what's happening to another person and how they change the space that they're in when somebody else is having a divine awakening in front of you, and it's happening as an invitation to you to awaken yourself? And so you're not awakened, and you see your friend just flowering in a realization of peace and grace so beautiful that they can't help but just That's your invitation now for you to open and experience the same thing. There doesn't need to be a hierarchy. The only thing that's necessary is for, and it might not, and that might not even be true, but let's just say it's necessary. Whatever has occurred in terms of self-realization of eternal and divine truths of self, whoever had the greatest realization of that, take a look at that in such a way that you experience the wholeness of it, and you won't be able to distinguish your experience of yourself with the wholeness of that. So what I'm saying is there truly is no hierarchy. That only exists in games of dominance and competition. And while this world meets that definition, there's a game within the game. You've got the game of life and death, and how long you can succeed before you fail, and how well. And when you ask the questions direct like that, you get energetic responses from the universe. It says, oh, that's what you want? Well, here it is. But you have to be present and paying attention and actually watch and see if, such communications occur when you ask the question. Because if you ask the question and then look for the answer, it's pretty easy to find. All you have to do is, be at peace. And allow that universal consciousness that supports all life and loves unconditionally every creation. That's the primary foundation of what you experience when you come home. I know there's all kinds of other ways for a being to be trapped, but with me in a slightly elevated awakening right now than in my normal life, I have to take a look and say, look, I'd really like to maintain this level of consciousness and this degree of peace and truly noticing that the flow just gets better and better and better each time I do something, while being moved by grace instead of greed, compassion instead of pushing away. How is it that we can live a life of compassion and support of others while doing it in such a way that it doesn't dominate our life in a painful way? Because you don't want your charitable giving to come at a cost of pain and suffering for yourself. That's nuts. Whatever it is that you're going to bless this world with, and whatever are the many gifts you focus on and say, hey world, I'd like your attention, and what I'd like to tell you is, and if the words that come out of your mouth is something less than an invitation to the rest of the world to pause for a moment, be internally still, Notice their hearts open. Notice the fog clear and feel themselves coming into the body with a flippant transcendent presence. It's us. It's you. You don't have to tell anyone else. Just have the experience of your transcendent truth by yourself in your own room. And let it redefine you to yourself. If you can experience a state of grace that's synonymous with your consciousness and your energy, their presence, then allow yourself first to benefit from that so that no animations coming from you are less than, sublimely well received because of how complete you were in knowing just what would cause them to remember their own magnificent eternal self. What happens? What would happen if a room full of people simultaneously remembered their truth and experienced that as the new operating system for their body and their mind, and then they just relaxed into that? What would happen if a room full of people did that? I think it's something I'd like to be there for. If there's an invitation to a group awakening, then yeah, I'm in. But there has to be something beyond a marketing and self-improvement philosophy for how a human becomes a better version of that. The creator within the creation has the consciousness of a created body. Yeah, feel that. Because it's only holding on to things so tightly like this that, causes us to have torment in our lives. Because we've so defined ourselves as a victim, regardless of our successes, we're suffering and suffering unwillingly. If we would willingly suffer for a while, we'd probably have a different ending. We'd probably have a happy ending. Why could that possibly be? If you're willing to suffer, you have a happy ending. I think the traditional story of that got so twisted that basically people torture themselves in taking care of other people to the point where they finally just fail and die of the utter complete physical and mental sacrifice to do something in such a way that, you don't get to be present yourself. You're giving so much presence to other people, there's no presence left for you. Guard your time with yourself. And whenever you have that moment of you being you, you remember the divine nature of all things. And feel it in the structure of your body. Yeah. Wow, there was quite a lot of darkness in me that's moved out from that. That was like a big dark cloud in the middle of my body. Yeah, now I'm having relief there instead of the. Yeah, I don't know what to say it, but it's just something that is so uncomfortable that say, oh, so I've got to feel this all the time until I die in order to be here. There's not a solution for resolving this so that my body goes, yay, another day. I'm so happy. I can't wait to move. Now, there's different levels of consciousness and different levels of reasoning and different ways of doing things, but I'd like to think that when you awaken to the point of experiencing your wholeness, but you're still experiencing yourself as your name and your life history and your friends and family, that's still 90% of your reality. It's okay to say, yeah, I know it's time for me to let it all go. And you do. You let it all go. Not that you're abandoning it, but you're making the choice to no longer be a polarized being. You're transitioning into a being that loves both sides of everything. So if you love both sides of everything, then how is life going to be like for you? And the problem is that can't be answered because as you transition from one level of consciousness and one level of beingness to another, from the beginning you can't predict the end. All you know is that it's getting better and better, more and more of what it is, and less of what it isn't. Things are clarifying. And that happens by feeling completely the energetics of everything that's going on in your body and opening up to all of them simultaneously. And allow all this tension and suffering and competition to, simply evaporate in the light of the sun. As if it never was there. Yeah, I'm feeling so much of everything that I've allowed to stop me. And stop myself with it. So, yeah, there's a lot here. And the only way I can see to resolve it is to let reality be the way that it is and become what it wants to be. And my only responsibility is to decide what I want to be. And then surrender that into that eternal loving foundation can move your location, can shift how you eat, shift where you live. You allow for yourself to be remolded and repaired. And all the other R's, redeemed, restored, remembered. And there's the rapture, opening all the way. Mm. Mm. Wow. Mm. Okay, well, this is a new inner reality for me, a softer one. Uh, More loving one, I think. And why not? If love can be strong and firm when needed, and loving always, and forever experiencing self in your wholeness, in your wisdom, in your eternal and universal self as a fully realized creator consciousness that moves in unconditional love for all creation. Always there with open arms, waiting for someone wanting to experience for themselves their divine truth. And you're there not to teach them, but to share that experience with them. Not through your emanation, but through your willingness to be the witness of the other person's divine realization. You're not the cause, but you're there holding the space for it, not with effort, but just with the fact that you're very present and waiting for that opening of a mutual awareness of a transcendent experience of self. So what's that like? Is it okay for you to open up your mind and your heart and your feelings and the energetics of your body and say, yeah, I'm willing to experience that. And have that change me in infinite ways as a result of that new reality, a new truth, and an old remembering that, of course, it was always this way. It was always divine for you, always true, always infinitely creative. Wow. A nice vortex in my stomach. Just letting go of all of that. Oh, everything I couldn't stomach. Yes, was held in my stomach.
Oh, I'm glad this happened.
Hmm. Now the energetics of this is getting really good right now. I'm just kind of sitting here silently, open. Hmm. 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 Wow. Hmm. I feel some foundational shifts going on. I don't think I'm unique. I think people are feeling this all over the world. Everybody who wants to connect is connecting, including me.
Yes.
And so what happens when many individuals around the world simultaneously, it's not something you need to promote to them. You just have to decide for yourself that you're in,
Looks like
that you're willing to be transformed, you're willing to transcend, you're willing to be true, the true and authentic you. Hmm. And that's an infinitely big shift to a human identified consciousness that knows only that. It's like trying to take something that had a penny in and put 10 million pennies in that little pocket. It just has to be perceived another way than through debate. It has to be a genuine curiosity and an honest question, and a presence that is open to that answer changing who they experience themselves to be, how their body performs in every aspect of life. So if you're going to do that, then yeah, you're doing it. Yeah, we do it now. That's why we have sessions, is to give ourselves permission, to fully surrender and let reality react to that. And we experience whatever the reaction is, in a state of wholeness. And that way we can't experience it as a tragedy, because we see the whole picture from every level of consciousness. And we know that it's part of a grand dance. So what's it like to experience life knowing that you're part of a grand dance that is the universe amazing itself with what it can do, what it can be, how it can transform? Everybody knew when they're coming here, and for generations and eons before, that there was going to be a time when everybody went, oh yeah, Here we are, end of the road. Everyone's free. Everyone's real. Everyone's true. And everyone gets to not just be the best version of themselves that they could ever imagine. They actually get to experience a remembrance, an experiential remembrance of their divine wholeness. There's no goals left in that. There's a graceful and beautiful way to interact with reality, but beyond that, there's really not a big plan unless you've obligated yourself with, to support family and children. So then it's like the old before and after enlightenment. What's the difference? You chop wood, carry water when you're unconscious, and you chop wood and you carry water when you're enlightened. But what's the experience of chopping wood and carrying water when you're divinely awakened? Is it a sensual one where, with all of the senses that the body has, you're experiencing reality completely open to it, with no judgment of it, expecting something miraculous to happen that surprises everybody in the most beautiful way? So what happens when you settle into that for a little while? And you just start relaxing about everything that you're trying to control. And instead, make choices that are what's really going to be the best thing for you. Where are you devoting your time and energy? Where are you putting your intellect? And what is it that you have left to create and share with the world that is something that not just the base aspects of your consciousness, but the transcendent ones? What is it that both want to happen? So long as it happens and it's so overused, but divinely, Buddha consciously, like an awakened master while they were living. Just pay attention enough to everything that you feel. Notice that you're surrendering into feeling that. It's what's letting go of all of the lies that are covering up the fact that you're the master. The master of reality. Not suppressing anyone or anything, but being the master of what it is to be a living being here. So, if that's what you want, then that's what you open into experiencing. You speak it to the universe and then you stop. You make sure you're open, and you notice that the universe replies instantaneously and continuously as you focus on receiving the answer and allowing the answer to change you, to heal you, to bring you back home. Being back home isn't something to be embarrassed about. It's not something that any sane person would criticize. Walking out of the movie theater instead of playing it endlessly over and over and over again is the same thing to do. Enjoy the journey and pretend. Then walk back out to reality again. And be present, with all of your faculties. Be present with that eternal awareness, the universal awareness, and the wisdom and the knowledge of the physics of the universe, and more especially being able to see and know and understand every level of consciousness, so that as you're moving through life, you know who and what you're facing, and you're not paying attention to the words, you're paying attention to the regard that the other person has for you. And if it's not one that would celebrate your every success, then, how good can it get there? Well, if it can't get to freedom, and it doesn't have freedom as the obvious foundation of how they are going to awaken, then it's not someone for you to share your life with. Because if we're going to be here and live life in an awakened way, we can't bind ourselves to daily companions. And I say that because, you got your blood ties and you got your romantic ties, and they're both ties. So how does all of that change? How does the circumstance of your actual reality, how does it transition into a full awakening, into a full remembrance? How is the personality and the ego kept intact well enough for you to not just get so enlightened and transcendent that your body can't, just explodes into love and you're gone? Because I don't think that's what any of us want either. We just want to enjoy an awakening into a fullness of forgiveness for ourselves, forgiving ourselves for everything. And in the silence, that's what you're doing for yourself. Hmm. Hmm. So we have our dams, our body damnation, the places where the energy and the consciousness get stopped, and there's not a flow. No flow of grace, no flow of consciousness or wisdom or understanding, just kind of a fear, a consciousness of dread, a consciousness of get me out of here. Okay, well, that's what we have to deal with. We have to deal with our being in such a sad state of appreciation of our life here that the result of everything that we're created right now says, get me out of here, I'm done. And I think that's the wrong message. I think that was created in unconsciousness because we missed something. We were developmentally disabled, all of us were. And yet it appears that a few people snuck through, somehow experienced freedom within the chains of human consciousness. And each one that did it seemed to say pretty much the same thing. As I am, you are also. You're just not open to experiencing it right now. And that's okay. You don't have to. But until you're true to yourself, the quality of the things that you get according to what your desires are, going to be a disappointment. So when and how do we actually get ready for surrendering all of our dams? If we're damned, if we're stopped, if we've lost our divine way, then yeah, we're damned in virtually about every way that is possible. And so if you realize that, yeah, you've been blocked in every possible way, then it's not for you to figure out. It's for you to say, wow, you guys were really, really, really intent on winning. Congratulations, I give up. You win. What happens then? All the need to fight flows out of you. The need to defend yourself. The need to have plans that plan for something worse than peace for you in the future. So how much of that infinite potential do you open up into so that you have a wise, graceful, successful, inspiring life where people love being around you? Let's call that a level 1 experience. And that's it. Wow. What a brilliant first step on your stairway to heaven. Yeah, feel that. Feel how that would be in your body. Hmm. Wow.
Thanks for always reminding me.
What's that? Yep.
Thanks for always reminding me
Oh, well,
of
thank you for always being willing, or for being as willing as you are to have so many sessions with me, because it's that's what it takes for me to remind myself.
love.
It takes me connecting with somebody unconsciously with an intention to take a look at life accurately. And in that looking, there's the experiencing of that, and then the opening to receive the actual experience of the things that we ask for quickly re-educates the energetics of our body and our subconscious. Hmm. Hmm. Wow, that's another nice move. Wow. So much was tied up in my body. So much tension, so much grief. Wow. But subconscious grief. But so deep and terrible that I had to encapsulate it and keep it away from me. Hmm. Keep it outside of my conscious experience. Hmm. I don't care if all the rest of you guys go first, but it'd be nice if somebody went, in terms of someone opening the door to the divine celebration of life and consciousness, and so that the rest of us come in. I don't care who that is, but each person should take that position for the next word that comes out of their mouth to whoever they're talking to. That word should be love.
Mm.
And then the immediate manifestation of the experience of a love so irresistible that we can't help but lose ourselves in it, as it redeems us by unwinding and burning off all the lies that were used to construct our reality, including our own lies. So what happens when, for you as a being, more or less out of control in the body, what happens when all of the lies suddenly are seen for what they are? And then they dissolve and fade away, because that Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Guan Yin, whatever it's called, it gives a real full freedom of consciousness and presence for you. Open and receive it. Open and receive it. Not asking it from any person or institution. You ask the universe, and wherever that energy and consciousness and presence is going to be coming back to you universally, you don't care. It can be from the person next to you or something on the other side of the universe. You're open. You're open to receive the transformation of consciousness into a life that's sublime. So feel that, a life sublime. And feel how the chronic blockages in your body, whether it's in your spine, kind of like mine, or in your muscles and tendons of your neck and spine, yeah, there's freedom is available. The problem is, I don't know what the price is really. Yeah, I'm getting to be pretty sure that the price is a benefit, not a cost. Because the price is your attention. And your attention on what's real and true is in your best interest, and everybody else's. So you can relax. You don't have to build anything up, and you don't have to tear anything down. All you have to do is remember. And then move in that remembrance. Move in that which sets everything, everyone free. Okay, well, I think this is this is the last moment for this recording, but it's quite a relief. And if anybody ever watches this, and again, this isn't for instruction, it's for you to know that I'm saying these words to you and you responding to them in your recognition, in your remembrance, in your opening and surrendering to the truth that sets you free, which is you. Your big boy, big girl, full presence is so far beyond balances and imbalances that it can't be appreciated from that level of consciousness. It's magnificent from any level of consciousness to experience an actual emerging presence of divine realization, but you'll feel it. There's somebody in the midst of that experience right now. Just put your consciousness out there around the world and tell there's somebody in an advanced divine awakening right now. And as soon as you identify them, they welcome you into the experience. That's what allows their experience to grow. Okay. Well, that was great for me. And it's been a week since I've done a session. It was with you and Ariel, I think.
Yes.
At least that's the title that I changed on the video. Was basically erase Ariel and put you down, and it was 7 days ago. And I think that's accurate. But so, in helping me, one of the things that you could do is truly help me remember to do these at least every other day. Preferably every day, but at least every other day.
Okay.
And I'm so tired, I can't keep my eyes open. My eyes have been closed most of the session.
Yeah, I'm also the same way.
Okay. So, on that note, we're 111:11. Goodbye.